we leveraged that. We came to the table and we met them at the table. We did a funding application, and as part of that funding application, we included a regional component that was what started the NSRBN. So that is how Amadeo and David are paid, essentially. And that's kind of, that's how we were able to get our poles in the ground. And that's how Dubreuilville is going to get our fiber down the Dubreuilville Highway.
Okay. The other question is, have we put out any type of pamphlet to the community showing the service that's going to be provided, what rates are going to charge for their cell phones, cable, etc., all that stuff, so that, you know, like, it's not just us sitting here thinking it'd be great, but it's the community that's got to buy in.
So no, so presently we're looking to get the community's buy-in and to actually legalize the NSRBN corporation before we do any marketing in our community. So we are working on, you know, we do have a pre-sales initiative kind of. We're working with our pre-sales team in parallel to this. So we will be ready, you know, in March to kind of launch all of our marketing and our pre-sales initiatives, should the communities, you know, be ready and for once we incorporate.
Yeah, but we were asked to buy in before we can share it with anybody. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, we do have 2 pilot communities kind of selected, but we've opted to go to that route. I think just to be safe. Is that correct, Amadeo? We certainly want to make sure that the NSRBN is everybody is on board before we go and offer a service that we don't really have to offer.
No, that's right. So legally, we're not incorporated. We're not incorporated yet. The community's only a few so far have passed the resolutions to join, you know, as per the deadline in February. But until the, you know, the legal structure is set up, and then, you know, we have the ability to go into those communities and market, you know, we can't until then. And that's why it's critical to have the shareholders be part of the program, and then we'll market to the communities. And on that, we're not overly concerned about the uptake on the packages. There's a lot of, you know, data and statistics for many of us that are in the business of what we see community uptake usually is when rolling out community-owned programs, projects like this. So the most essential piece is to make sure the shareholders are part of the group first, and then, you know, with the shareholders at the table, as David mentioned, you know, you're all decision makers. We will then do strong marketing campaigns in the community, door knocking, well, all within COVID regulations, but everything that we can to over the next 3 years to you know, load up the customers.
Thank you.
I'm just going to interrupt here. We have a major agenda still to do, so I'm more minutes. So if we can get to the next part, if you simply want to explain that to us, and we'll take a couple of questions, but then we're going to have to move on to the rest of our agenda. So I don't know which one of you will be speaking to that. Melanie, are you going to speak to the agreement I believe you mentioned?
No, so that'll be David. David's going to speak to the term sheet. We'll quickly go through it. It's
Okay.
fairly complex.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just getting my screen share going here. Can everybody see the term sheet?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Yeah, so the government, so there are a couple of different entities that are involved. The first thing that will need to be set up will be a legal entity between the NSRBN member corporations. So I would think of this as, you know, a corporation that unifies the 9 communities. And this corporation will have one board member from each community representing their interests with each other. And there will be mechanisms in place for future shareholder buy-in. So if there's an opportunity to expand and build out, you know, and expand the NSRBN into a neighboring community that has expressed interest in wanting to join the ownership group, there will be an option to potentially sell them equity and get them involved, as well as a mechanism for shareholder exit. So if one of the founding community members and partners to the NSRBN Member Corp decides they want to, their priorities have changed and they decide they want out, then you know, there will be a mechanism so that they can exit, and the remaining equity holders can, you know, can take over their equity position. We put in, you know, minority shareholder discount. This is pretty common. I'm a chartered business valuator by profession as well, so that's something that I've seen. If you're a minority shareholder, typically you're paid out at fair market value, which includes a discount. Putting sometimes can be higher than 10%. We just use 10% as the working number here, and then as the operating profits within the NSRBN Member Corp are generated, then they could use that as a way to pay out the you know, the buyout for the member that wants to exit. So the second point is the General Partnership Corporation. So the General Partnership Corporation will have the NSRBN Member Corp as well as Crown setting this up. So this is the entity that will be basically it will have legal liability, but it will basically be how the NSRBN community members interact with the financial partner in owning and governing the core business. And so there will be a shareholders agreement set up between NSRBN and Crown within the GP Corp, and it's expected that the ownership will be split 50-50. The GP Corp Board of Directors, so that would have 5 members. 2 will be appointed by the NSRBN Corp, 2 will be appointed by Crown, and 1 will be a neutral third party, which would be mutually agreed upon by the other 4 Board of Directors. A limited partnership shall be formed, and that would be owned, again, it's essentially 50-50. So Crown has 2 separate entities that they would like involved. One is the primary financing vehicle. This is the Telecom LP. And then the other is Community Network Partners. I would look at them as the operational partner. And then NSRBN being the 50, they're in their 50% interest. So the partners will execute a limited partnership agreement. And the limited partnership agreement will have, again, mechanisms for exit. And then we wanted to make sure that rights of first refusal were included. So I would think of that as if Crown wanted, and every indication that I've had from them is that they are in this for the long run, but if their priorities change and they want to get out of the partnership, then you have the options. You have the option to buy their stake in the partnership rather than them just sell it off to a new partner that you know, you may or may not want to do business with. So we thought that that would be a nice thing to include to protect the interests of the NSRBN members. And then a provision for a minimum of 5 years where an exit cannot be triggered, and a provision for a lengthy transition period in the event of a Crown exit. So given that they're fronting a lot of the capital, we thought that that was fair. So at least for the first 5 years, you know, you would be involved, and you know, you would at least get to see how the partnership works. And you know, ideally there would not be an exit, but you never know what happens. So making sure that those things are clearly defined, I think, is important to any agreement. GP Corp will be the general partner of the LP. So this is more for liability purposes. I know our lawyers and legal counsel can certainly explain that better than I can, but the GP Corp will be responsible for the management of the limited partnership. So I would see the limited partnership as the vehicle that, invests and owns the assets, but then transfers the assets over to the operating company, which uses that to generate the profit. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I believe on the frequently asked questions, making sure that there is appropriate board oversight and having annual business plans and budgets that would get approved. Those are important in, the sustainability of the business with reinvesting into capital for capacity and things like that. So Crown does want to make sure that they have, they are the GP manager, given that they have experience in operating a telecom company. I think that's fair. So they wanted to have that included within the contract, and there will be a management agreement which sets out the role, responsibilities, and accountabilities of that GP manager. There's a management fee that's to be associated with that. That will need to be specified, but it typically is very low. It's typically, less than 2% of assets. So we'll have to just firm that out. So that's to be determined. There will be a plan for Indigenous and local workforce development.
David?
Yep.
We just got our 5-minute cutoff.
Okay.
So I'll just interrupt you there. And maybe what I'll do is I'll invite Mayor and Council to come to our next meeting. I'll drive a few last minute points home. We really feel, it certainly isn't a feeling. The fact is, broadband is the foundation of all economic development. It's the foundation of resident and investment attraction. While Wawa does have the best broadband and connectivity in the region, it still is extremely deficient when compared to urban centers and our partners, on the Highway 11 corridor, Sault Ste. Marie, Marathon, etc. So when we're looking to do any kind of attraction and certainly capitalize on, the activity, as Mayor Rody said, we really do need to position ourselves well. And that's what our team here, Amadeo and David, is, we're really trying to bring home. This project positions ourselves for economic growth. By owning the project, you're certainly having control over it. We can do things like, make sure that our industrial sites that are outside of our urban settlement area, like the old Weyerhaeuser mill, like the aggregate site down on Lake Superior, that they're connected. These are areas that Bell and Shaw don't have any interest in connecting. In Duberville, we spent a lot of time making sure that we could get poles in because the mines need to be connected. That's the reality we face. As mentioned, we are looking for a decision by the end of February that certainly can, we can certainly look to extend the date a little bit if, for different, for council meeting dates and things like that. But we are looking forward to really, keeping our dollars spent by the municipality in the region, in our communities, and making this project a success so we can help all the people that you heard in the NSRBN, all the testimonials, our doctors, our teachers, and everybody else in our communities, to attract knowledge workers and to expand our economy outside of our traditional sectors. So I'll leave it there. Amadeo and David, does anybody have anything else to add?
I just have one comment, Melanie. It's Mrs. Hatfield. I can't get over the work that's been done since I first seen it a couple of years ago. And I'm personally very excited about it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mrs. Hatfield.
Well, thank you, Melanie, Amadeus, is it David? We appreciate the explanation, and council has a lot to look over and think about, and we will be discussing this and certainly get back to you. And I had a bunch of questions as well, so Melanie, perhaps I will try to touch base with you in the next few days and speak to you about some of the questions I had. But we're just running out of time. We've got a full agenda yet and another meeting after this meeting. So again, thank you. We'll say goodnight and we'll be in touch.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're happy to speak to you offline at any time, Mayor Rhodey.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. We're going to get back to our regular agenda. I want to thank staff who have been sitting by telephone. I hope you were able to pick up some of the information or get other work done while you're waiting to get to the part where you will contribute to tonight's meeting. So we have someone to move the adoption of the minutes from Tuesday, January 19th, moved by Robert. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. There's no business arising under new business. Request for support, closure of the Ontario Fire College. This has come in from municipality, a couple of them. I believe the decision has already been made to close it. Kathy tells me a number of years ago, some of the municipalities were actually asking for that because they found it expensive to send people all the way down to central Ontario, and we're looking for more regional. I'm not sure what the position is locally now, but the idea is to set up training in a number of regional centers across the province. Whether that is the best way of doing it, I'm not sure, but I think one of the factors was that the current building where the school is housed would require a lot of upgrades and work done on it. And I think that Robin just said, well, this is a good time to move that. So is that on the, I remember now, we didn't bring that one forward.
Yes, I have a, to go to the regular meeting following this one.
Okay. So we can see, you can decide which way you want to move on that one. Item 7.2, we've had I've had actually a number of calls from area municipalities to talk about this topic of insurance premiums. I think it will come up in a future mayor's meeting. There's been a significant increase. Kathy has given us some data for Wawa. Our increases over the last few years have been about 36%. Some municipalities have had significant increases, not much higher. I think it's certainly something that we can support in moving to the government, asking them to look into this and see whether there's fairness in the industry with regards to these increases. I don't know if anybody else had a comment on that. That was 7.2. Yeah, we know that for sure. 7.3, the resolution here to support the extension for a community safety and well-being plan. They are due in July 2021. We actually had a meeting today here in this Zoom meeting. Kathy and I participated. I certainly would support this because one of the problems we're having is that it's extremely important that the community safety and well-being plan has a lot of input from the community. And with COVID-19, we're finding it very difficult to find a safe way to be able to do that, to make sure that we do have that input. It could be extended even to July 2022. We know that hopefully when everyone's immunized and we can safely meet in larger groups, I think we would get more input. So again, that's coming forward for support. 7.4 mental health, community wellness. Councillor Tate wishes to speak to that.
Yes, I'd just like to bring up a couple topics, and one is, like Bell says, let's talk. We should be concerned about our mental wellness in our community. It's been a long winter. We've been in lockdown since Boxing Day, so it seems like an eternity, and we're not the only ones. And activities and exercise play a major role in our healthiness. And up till now, we've had some outdoor activities, but basically all our activities and our indoor activities have been shut down. Most of our programs barely got started in the fall, whether it were dance, curling, hockey, karate, whatever you want to say, it just got started and got shut down because of COVID-19, of course. I don't know what the future is going to look like because we all know that there's that variant and it could be the third wave. So where that goes, I don't know. I can't really say. But I think it would be great if this council would support a resolution to extend the winter season of the Mitch McCut Memorial Center into April to allow the different groups to pick up from where they left off and continue their activities and maybe get a half decent season out of it, because it was shrunk down to, between getting the policies in place, getting the scheduling done with all the groups and getting that all in place, we kept holding off 2 weeks to get the COVID stuff in place, and basically it didn't get started in the fall. So I know there will be benefits to our community to be able to get back and see people again, curl and dance and do pickleball and all those type of activities. So, and also it comes with risks. We know the other side of the coin, that the COVID-19 is here, the variance is here. So I just think it'd be really great if this council would support the fact that we do a resolution to extend the season into April. Now, I would ask though that Alex be a part of this and he give us a short report on what his thoughts would be on extending this for another 2 to 3 weeks and how it impacts him, and get that side of the coin first, just so we have that information, and we also are transparent and we include. So that's basically what I wanted to express to the rest of the council and the mayor.
I certainly agree with you, Pat. I had that same idea that since we just lost about 6 weeks, started late, and then had, and this certainly, Alex, will get you involved in this, and it's I think if council agrees with the position taken by Pat and supported by me, that if community groups want to extend their seasons, we would certainly accommodate that for the health and recreational benefits of the community. Normally, it's the other way around. We have ice in and the groups are finishing up, but if Alex has the opportunity to speak to the various user groups, different groups, curling group, if they wish to extend the season, I think we can support it. It's not as expensive operating the arena in April as it is in September when we try to start early, and it's gets a lot warmer. Hopefully, although the days will get warmer, the nights will still be cool, and we can keep the ice in a little longer if there's interest. Now, the only thing that may come into play on that, and we still have a number of meetings, actually, we have one meeting tomorrow on this, is the Algoma's plan for vaccinations. Once they get into vaccinating large groups, there may be a request to access some of our facilities, and I think it'll be extremely important to make those facilities available. So we will be talking to the public health people with regards to some idea of a time frame. I know it's difficult for them to do that because we always hear about the issues with shipments and everything else. So sometimes it may be very short notice as to when an area may get vaccines and have to do it. But it's something else that will have to be, I think, considered as we move into March and April. Yes.
I just wanted to mention too, this would be a one-off, it'd be a one-time only exception to the policy. So it has, because of COVID-19, so it would not be a consideration year after year. This would just be a one-time thing.
Yeah, Alex, I'm just wondering, have you heard anything from any of the groups that now that we have the opportunity to get back into these activities that they may wish to go a little longer?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so we've heard a little bit on both sides of the coin. So I would say that without a formal survey of the groups, we've had groups who are interested in both aspects. There's some groups who have reduced the amount of time that they've been looking for from us, and there's other groups who are looking for an increase and looking for an extension. So I'd be happy to write a report for you folks, and that can include a full survey of all the groups to see who would be interested, how long they'd be interested in extending the season for, and get some basic costs together for council's consideration.
Alex, can you do us a favor?
Yes.
Keep it to one page.
That's a tall ask, Mr. Tate, but I'll try my best.
Now, would be best to do that for March 2nd or March 16th?
The sooner the better. I think all of user groups right now, they've had a real challenge this year because they don't know what to charge, because they're not sure, obviously with all of the shutdowns, the openings and the closures, how many days they're actually going to get. So the earlier we let folks know, the better. So it's something that we can get turned around here in fairly short order.
Well, let's shoot for March 2nd meeting that we'll get an idea, because I'm sure by then we'll be hearing about vaccines and programs for March, April. So it's one way, I guess, for the groups. If we're ready to let them go a little longer, they may not have to give back money. Then they could keep going with some of the programs. So, okay, we'll hear from you on the 2nd. So at least you know that council is certainly supporting changing that particular policy to extend the season if the desire is there by the groups.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. So 7.5, Liddy Dunn Health Center Memorandum of Understanding and funding assistance. I'm on this committee. We have been to 2 meetings already, Zoom meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have one this Friday at 9. And so we have a memorandum of understanding that needs to be upgraded, changed. Did you folks get a copy of that in your? So obviously, one of the very first paragraphs when this was initially written, we were in a situation economically where the community was hurting. I think we rewrite that paragraph and things are significantly different. One of the things that came out in the 2 meetings that I've attended is that the whole way of looking at attracting medical professionals to the community has changed. It's not about necessarily offering a big bundle of money if you come and sign. that it's a lot of, it's showcasing our community and looking at getting out to, not now because of COVID, but in the past, that there are like job fairs for medical professionals. And so we want to encourage the attraction of professionals, because as you're aware, in April, we will be short two doctors in our community. 2 will be leaving. So we need to work on that. One of the issues is how do we contribute to the committee to support this? So I'm going to continue to work with the committee. I've got some questions for this Friday in terms of what we do. It's almost like that there would, I think there would probably be 2 phases to it. One would be, an annual contribution to the operating of the committee so that it can, do the things it needs to do. Sometimes it may be getting to a job fair or whatever. And then there may be what I would call capital projects where we may want to invest something for the attractions. One example is they're talking about doing a video of our area, but we're all also thinking doing that for the new web page. So it might be something where we will contribute and do that, and then have the hospital be able to use that as well. So I just want to let you know that we do have funds set aside in reserves for this. I'm going to continue the discussion. We'll get some ideas, and I'll talk to staff, and we'll be coming back to you with a rewritten memorandum of understanding between the municipality and the hospital, and certainly that hopefully we'll have it laid out completely that should there be an annual contribution to the operation of this committee, and then reserves to put towards special things, and those would I think come back to council just for information as to how we're spending that money. But I think in terms of how the municipality spends funds, we spend funds, and just the topic that Pat just brought up, the health and both physical and mental and recreational aspects of our community, we support that. We support activities like spending money in the arena and other organizations, spending money to make sure that our community has a full complement of health professionals is extremely important. If we want to attract other people to our community, having a strong group of health professionals serving us is extremely important. And I think we have a responsibility as a municipality to work towards
We
that.
have people in Walworth who can do that. We wouldn't get anybody better than Jake's to get,
It's going to have to be aerial as well. So,
we
yeah,
can do that too.
yeah, well, that's
It's just an idea.
Mhm. It's something that the staff will look at in terms of that. We're certainly looking at professional production, whatever it be. That's something. So that's just what I wanted to mention there. We get a chance to just read that, hang on to it. We'll probably come with recommendations for some changes. And as well, I'm going to share with you. Did you share with council the terms of the committee? We can just stick that in your mailbox. It's the hospitals committee and their terms of reference for that committee as well, so you understand what they're doing. And,
This committee just started.
no, it's been going on for quite a while, but it's the first time in a while that we've got municipal participation. Okay. 7.6 power treatment plant compressor purchase. I think this is what you call a no-brainer. I think it's extremely important to get these this done and ready. I don't think I would have any objection that's coming forward in a resolution later. I think it's extremely important that if for any reason we lost those pumps and compressors, we just can't go there. So we're going to support that and make sure that happens as quickly as possible. Then 7.7, Dan, you've been waiting a long time. If you wish to speak to your report.
Not too much has happened in the last 2 months. Are there any questions regarding my report?
Any details with regards to anything we should know ahead of time before we come here on Thursday? Are they just going to have a lot of information to present to us, graphs and pictures and stuff?
Yeah, they're going to do a PowerPoint of everything that's going on and what the project's all about.
Okay. It looks like in terms of snow plowing, usually you guys are around about 3 times to widen the street, and we don't seem to have that problem anywhere. And I've had years when I park my car in the road, you can't see it because of the snowbank, and it's nice to have a season where we get a bit of a break from the snow. But the guys are doing other good work. It's slippery, so there's lots of sand going down. So you'll be busy in the spring picking up the sand. So if there are no other questions, thank Dan. We'll move on to 7.8, which is request for a defibrillator at 96th Broadway. Alex, did you wish to speak to that? Had you brought that up? Did I see your name on that report?
I can speak to it a little bit if you like, but the only thing that I was really involved in is I recently helped out Dan's department of the water treatment plant make a similar purchase, so
okay.
Probably the name you saw was on the quote.
Okay, that's what it was. So there's a number of businesses, a lot of traffic in there. It's our building. If we're serious about health and safety and wellness, it's about $2,300. Am I correct, Alex? Is that the price?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. So is that something council would be prepared to invest in? So is that budget-wise, is that something that will have to be added to the budget, Manuela, before you bring that to us? They'll be part of operations?
No, I'm sure it'll fit into one of the just one of the operating sections.
Okay.
I'm still working on it, so I'll make sure that there's room.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
7.9, Alex, you wish to speak to your report? Those were some very excellent pictures, by the way, you submitted with your report.
Thanks. I'll try and keep it pretty short because we're running a little bit late here. So a couple things to touch on. If folks are wondering what we've been doing while the community center is closed, there's the answer in picture form. We've been basically getting a pile of stuff done that we've been meaning to do for years, but just never had the sort of downtime to be able to do things like this. The rooms have always been full and in use. So added some pictures for council there just so you guys can see what's going on. Other than that, on the recreation side, and that started this weekend, we did the Wawa Goose Chase, which is essentially a really heavily modified winter carnival to try and give folks in the community, something to get a little bit of, really specifically something to get people outside and active in the community. So we worked on that for the last little while to try and make sure that met all the Oklahoma public health regulations and things like that. We've also been doing a lot of planning. So of course, now that we're close to reopening and we'll reopen tomorrow, there was a bunch of stuff that we had to do to get things ready, especially with the changes in the legislation towards recreation programming. So we worked on that to be sure that we're ready for when the time comes, which we should be able to open up programming in the next couple weeks. And then the last thing is we did some work on tourism. We worked on a report for our 2021 recommendations on a direction for tourism. That's something that essentially it's Kathy and I who are now working through some of the issues that presented themselves, and we'll have hopefully a report for council for the next council meeting, or certainly in the next little bit. Any questions for me?
Pat has a question. Go ahead, Pat.
I think it was on this report I read about the seniors active living money available. Are we putting in an application for that?
No, the EDC did put in an application for a seniors grant. I've worked with them just a tiny bit about it, basically answering some questions they had of things municipalities or our municipality has done specifically for the age-friendly program, but I'm not super familiar with the specifics of that report.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Hopefully you can get things going again, and we'll stay open right through. No more lockdowns.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having everybody back at the rink. It's been a really weird time to have the place so empty for so many weeks.
Exactly. Thank you. 7:10, memo with regards to the Wawa BIA budget. Manuela, you wish to speak to that?
I'm sorry?
Did you wish to speak to the BIA budget item?
I think the biggest thing to mention about the BIA budget is that they've done a very good job keeping it very small again this year in order to help out the member businesses.
Yeah, that was certainly a good approach, because obviously we're not going to have a whole pile of visitors in our community even this coming summer. I mean, we'd all like to say differently, but so I think BIA has been very conservative with regards to spending, and as a result, it benefits the members who certainly have had their share of difficulties with COVID-19. So, Manuela, do you just pass on to the BIA members council's appreciation for the work that they're doing?
I will most definitely do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So there's no in-camera, no business arising. Our next meeting is Tuesday, March 2nd. If I could, Bill will move to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning? It's carried. Thank you. We'll move directly to regular. So I'll call the meeting to order and note that we're present. I'm not sure who's still present on the phone. Have you folks stayed for this part, or heard one beep go? Alex, you still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay, and Manuela?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. And,
Sorry, I'm on mute, and then I forget to unmute, and I'm talking, and no one can hear me.
okay, and Dan? Dan's probably not with us. Okay, very good. So we will just note those. Whoops, I just lost my screen. Okay. Over here. Yeah, they don't have. There we go. Okay. So approval of agenda, we have a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Reese, seconded by Councillor Tate, resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, February 16, 2001 be approved as presented.
Any questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. There's no delegations, presentations, announcements, and giving a notice about some of the meetings that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Move to adoption of minutes. We have a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Tate, seconded by Councillor Reese. Resolved that the following minutes of the meeting of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, January 19, 2021, is contained on pages 1 to 6, inclusive of the minutes.
Any questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Correspondence for information. Mr. Manta commented on a couple of grants that the municipality received. The Hydro One notice is with regards to a lot of the construction that's taking place on the Jiggly plant. And there was information up there on universal paid sick days and the greenhouse gas emissions. Consent agenda, we have a resolution.
Moved by Councillor Reese, seconded by Councillor Tate. Resolved that the items listed under consent agenda, items 8.2 to 8.7, be approved as recommended.
Any questions? So if we approve the consent agenda,
Do we want to sever it?
so that's where we have questions. Do you want to remove that one from the consent agenda, 8.3? Yes. Okay. Okay, moved by Roberts, seconded by Pat, that we remove item 8.3. Can I call a question now?
Yes, on the amended.
Okay, so call the questions to approve the consent agenda as amended with the removal of 8.3. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Staff reports. We have a resolution.
Can we come back to item 8.3?
Oh, okay. So we removed it. So do we want to specifically? We just want to remove it and not have it there and not deal with it, or put it on to not support it?
You want me to read the motion?
Sure.
It's quite lengthy, but I can read it. Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Tate. Whereas the Ontario Fire College has been in existence since 1949, and whereas the Ontario Fire College is one of the primary sources of certified training for Ontario firefighters, and whereas the Ontario Fire College has built a reputation of integrity, credibility, reliability, and providing some of the best training to our fire services within the province of Ontario. And whereas the Ontario Fire College has been used to train and certify both volunteer, part-time, and career firefighters throughout Ontario. And whereas the Ontario Fire College gives Ontario firefighters another option other than regional training centers to obtain National Fire Protection Association certifications. And whereas the Ontario Fire College is one of the most cost-effective methods to certify firefighters to the NFPA standards in Ontario. And whereas the Ontario government has enacted and revoked Ontario Regulation 379/18, firefighter certification in 2018. And whereas when the Ontario government revoked Ontario Regulation 379/18, firefighter certification, it also made known by the Office of the Solicitor General that the Act would be amended and brought back in the future. Now therefore be it resolved that the Corporation, the Municipality of Wawa, requests the Province of Ontario to reverse their decision to close the Ontario Fire College, as the OFC is one of the best and most cost-effective methods for municipalities to train their firefighters, which assists us in providing. And be it further resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Sylvia Johns, the Ontario Solicitor General, the Honourable Stephen Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Ontario Fire Marshal, John Pegg, and all municipalities within the province of Ontario.
Okay, just for clarification, then a yes vote would mean that we support the college and we send the resolution on to the government. Negative vote, we would just do nothing. So I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? More opposed, which is the motion's not carried.
Supposed to beat it.
We will support the regional approach. Item 7, or sorry, 9.
Well, next, we are going to support the letter she just said.
No. Are we all set, Kathy, to go to 9 staff reports and
Yes.
resolutions to receive them?
Yes. Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Reese. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive the following reports, a copy of which are attached here to A, AP 2021-02, report for the month of January 2021. B, CC 2021-01, water treatment plant compressor purchase. C, DB 2001-01, report for the months of December and January 2021.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. No business arising, no new business. This is the annual sewage performance report. There were no issues. Everything was fine. It just requires a resolution of council to receive and endorse it. Go ahead, Reed.
Moved by Councillor Tate, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive and endorse the Water Drinking Water System Annual and Summer Reports 2020, dated February 2021, as prepared by the Water and Wastewater Division, Infrastructure Services, a copy of which is attached here too. And furthermore, that a copy be made available to the public and posted on the municipal website.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. There's no notice of motion. Bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Tate. Resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3369-21, to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 16th day of February 2021. Bylaw number 3370-21, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the townships of Horn, Payne, White River, Duberville, and Shapleau for the municipality of Wawa to provide GIS and related services to each partner community. Bylaw number 3371-21, to adopt various tax extension agreements for the year 2021.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. No closed sessions, no business arising. Our next meeting is Tuesday, March the 2nd. We need a mover to adjourn. One mover.
Moved by Councillor Tate that the meeting close at 8:51 p.m.
All in favor? Carried, thank you. Thank you to staff. It's been a long evening. We appreciate it. We had a few weeks off, but we made up for it tonight. So thank you, and we'll see you in a couple of, well, we'll see you Thursday. Back here Thursday.
Thank you.
6 o'clock, right?
6 p.m. Yes.
Thank you.